Hey guys, hey there beautiful people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Maria Gift. I'm a Namibian YouTuber currently based in the UK, England to be specific. I make videos about my life and I post them here on YouTube. To all my returning subscribers, thank you so much guys. Thank you for coming back, for always coming back. If you have not subscribed yet, please do consider subscribing, hitting that subscribe button and join the family. It's always good vibes and fun here every single week. Please ignore my messy hair. My hair is a mess. It's a Saturday and it's been a lazy Saturday. Literally, it's been a lazy Saturday. So yeah, I decided to do this because wow, the hair struggles in the UK, guys. It's hectic. Anyways, without wasting any time, let's get into the video. As the title suggests, I am going to talk about what to do after you've gotten your visa. So if you haven't watched any of my coming to the UK videos, please, I'll put the links on those 3 videos in the description box. Do make it a point to check them out and see which visa is appropriate for you and which one you want to get. And yeah, this one will literally just be a continuation of those series sort of thing, but now it's a thing of you've gotten your visa, whichever one of the 3 visas you've gotten, whichever visa you've gotten, actually maybe it's not even just one of the 3, but whichever visa you've gotten your visa. What next? Right, so how does the visa thing work? So basically, actually this dookie looks horrible. I might as well just remove it and then you guys can see the mess that is my wig, the mess that is my frontal. So yeah, much better, I think. Okay, not good, but so much better than the dookie. Anyways, sorry about that, guys. So anyways, so you've gotten your visa. So the way getting a visa works is after you're done with your biometrics and your visa interview, it takes 15 working days for you to get the visa. So what you do get after 15 working days, you get an email from the Home Office that tells you that a decision has been made on your visa. Sometimes it will just be an email to say that a decision has been made on the visa, and then you never know what the decision is until you collect your passport. But sometimes they send you an email that a decision has been made and your application has been approved or your application has been denied. By then it just means you've gotten the visa. If it says your application has been approved and you are granted entry, then you've gotten your visa. If your application has been refused, we're not talking about that now. We're talking about you got your visa. So after you get this email comes attached to a letter, and this letter will have the information, what kind of visa you got, how long is your visa, when does your visa start, and what are you allowed to do and not to do on this visa, when are you allowed entry into the UK, what should you do when you get to the UK, and all these things. After you get that email, the email will also tell you that you must wait until you get another email or a message from the TLC center where you did your interview for you to collect your passport. And then a few days later, the TLC center will send you an email that your passport is ready for collection, and in your passport you will find let me show you. It's usually sealed in an envelope, and then when you open your passport, there's something like this. It's called a vignette. Let me just hide that specific information, something like that, right? So that is your entrance, your UK entrance vignette that they paste in your passport, and it will tell you this document or this sticker has what type of visa, where you got it, when it's valid, and from when until when, and then also the type of visa, your name, your passport number, your observations, or I don't know what observation is. It's probably just the type of visa, I think, and your nationality, your date of birth, and everything. So that is a vignette that they paste in your passport. After you get that, it's time for you to book your flight. Now, as I said, You can, let's say you apply for your visa, and then you get, because when you apply for your visa, there's a visa question that asks you, when do you intend to travel? Let's say you said, no, I want to travel on the 1st of December. But of course you made your application, for example, on the 1st of November, a month in advance. So, and then your visa comes after 15 days. It comes on the 20th. Let's say your visa comes on the 20th of November. Your visa will be valid probably from the 1st of December. Now, it means you cannot travel to the UK until the 1st of December. You cannot arrive in the UK until the 1st of December, because that's when your visa is valid, right? So you'll have to wait until that day. So even when you book your flight, you need to make sure you book your flight according to when you are arriving. You must not arrive in the UK before the date of your visa. You can arrive later, you can arrive on the 2nd, on the 3rd, on the 5th, whatever, but not before the 1st of December, because that's from when your visa is valid. All right. Booking your flight, there are a lot of websites you can use. You can use Google Flights, you can use Opodo. I think Opodo is one, is really affordable flights. You can use go on the airline website yourself. I think the kind of airlines that leave Namibia is Lufthansa, Eurowings, Lufthansa, one in the same thing. I think it's like sister companies or something. Lufthansa, Qatar, Ethiopian, SAA. I think those 4 are the ones that leave Hosea Kutako, if I'm not mistaken. So it depends on where you want to fly to. Personally, I never fly through SA because I've gotten a bad experience from it. So I try to avoid flights that go through SA. So I'll prefer to either go straight to Europe, which is Lufthansa, or my favorite, I really like going through Qatar, but Qatar flights are really expensive. So the cheapest flights you can get from Namibia at this stage is Lufthansa, and I think they're the shortest flights to the UK currently, because it's like 8 hours until Frankfurt, and then 1 hour 45 minutes from Frankfurt to London. So that's pretty fast. Anyways, after you book your flight, now, where in the UK are you going to stay? Where in the UK are you going to stay? Now, when you apply for your visa, they will ask for your accommodation, your address, where you are going to stay in your visa application. Now, the safest thing to do is, if you are coming for work, if you are coming to the UK to work, ask your employer. Your employer will let you know. I think in your interview, your communication with your employer, you'll be asking, where are you accommodated, that the employer provide accommodation, all these things. If your employer provides accommodation, when they send you a certificate of sponsorship, they would indicate that this is where you're going to stay, and you just enter their address when the visa question asks where you're going to stay. If you're coming for school, if you are going to stay in uni accommodation, in residence uni accommodation, then you also just attach that document where you are going to stay, right? That you're going to stay at the university accommodation, so you enter the university's address. But now, if your employer is not going to accommodate you and you're not going to stay in university accommodation, it will be best for you to look for accommodation, and best is to look for short-term accommodation. This is now usually hotels, Airbnbs, or lodges. Those are the most common accommodation facilities, affordable accommodation facilities in the UK. I don't know if there are guest houses in the UK, but lodges, like travel lodges and stuff, they are quite affordable. Or you can do Airbnb, very affordable and very convenient, as well as hotels. These are the most expensive ones. There are a lot of websites you can use. Airbnb is one, TripAdvisor is another one, Expedia is another one, bookings.com is another one. What's that other one that you can use? Or go on a specific city. For example, if you know where you're going, let's say you're coming to stay in Bristol, or you're coming to stay in Liverpool or Manchester, wherever, you know the city where you're going to stay, you just Google accommodation, affordable short-term accommodation in Bristol, and Google is your friend. Guys, Google is your friend. So after you find your accommodation, you need to book your accommodation, reserve your accommodation, and have proof of this reservation, because you'll be asked at the airport. The chances of you being asked at immigration control where you're going to stay is very high. I think now they even do it when you are leaving Namibia. At the Hosea Kutako airport, they're going to ask you where you are going to stay. They might ask you where you're going to stay. So it's best. And also, technology, guys, can be trusted. Personally, I prefer to print out my stuff. For example, the letter that you got about your decision, please print that one out, just in case, not to have it just in your email. Print it out. Your accommodation, print it out. Your flight tickets, please print them out as well, just in case maybe you lose your charger, your phone goes off, there's no internet, all these things, you never know. I prefer to just have my things on hand as well. It also just it fast track you the process. When they ask, you already have, you just whip out your file and everything is already there. Yeah, and then you arrive in the UK. At the airport, they stamp passport control. They ask you, why are you coming to the UK? No, I'm a student, or I have a job. If you have a job, can I have your certificate of a sponsorship? If you're coming for school, can I have your CAS? Where are you going to stay? Can I have your accommodation? Here it is. Can I have your passport? And they stamp, and that is it. I don't know if other countries it's the same, but in Namibia, that's literally it. They don't. When you arrive in the UK for Namibia, they don't ask much, but when you are leaving back home, they do ask more. I think personally, I was asked more back home than I was asked in the UK, because in Namibia they did a lot of checks. They did a lot of checks at the airport for my information, but then when I arrived in the UK, they just said, "Why are you here? Do you know where you're going to stay?" They didn't even ask for me to show proof where I'm going to stay. They just said, "Do you know where you're going to stay?" And I said yes. And then, "Can I have your passport?" And they stamped it, and that was it. Right. Now, you've gone through border control. Now you're off. You get your bags, the baggage claim. The trick with getting bags, especially if you have black bags, I always say attach like a ribbon or like a scarf, very distinct scarf or an item on your bag with your details. You at least have your name, have your phone number, have your email address on that scarf, just in case your bag is lost, right? Then people can contact you, because that tag, that luggage tag, doesn't usually have your contact detail. Just probably, I don't know if it even, I've never even checked if it has your email address, but I know it doesn't have your telephone number. So put a scarf, the brightest color you can think of, especially if your suitcases are black, because almost everyone and their grandparents have black suitcases. So if your suitcases are very common and not as personalized, please just tie a ribbon, tie a name tag, tie something that can show you immediately that it is your bag, because sometimes they are not lost. Sometimes somebody just takes a black bag thinking it's theirs, just for them to get to their house. It's not their bag. They can quickly just send you a text or call you that I took your bag by mistake and stuff, something like that. So pick up your bags, and then the first thing on arrival after you get your bags is probably to get a SIM card, a UK SIM card. Yes, there is Wi-Fi at almost every place that you enter, especially when you arrive in London, in Heathrow. There's Wi-Fi in the airport, there's Wi-Fi where, but get a SIM card at the airport. Yes, it's more expensive, but just get a SIM card. It's like you have options. There's so many. It's like what all these mobile networks have kiosks in the airport, of course, depending on what time your flight arrives. Of course, sometimes if you arrive after 5, they would be closed, so your chances are to get it in the next morning. But if you are arriving in the morning and they are open, just get a SIM card. Also, you can even Google prior to arrival which mobile network is better, but honestly nobody cares. Personally, I don't care. Just get a SIM card. Get like the cheapest prepaid SIM card and bundle that you can afford. I think the minimum one is like £5 that has like, I think 2.5 gig or is it 2 gig, whatever. Just get a SIM card, and then after you get a SIM card, then at least you have a number. Then you can contact people, like contact your accommodation, especially if you are going to an Airbnb. Your host needs to know where you are, because you're communicating with your host. You've never been there, you've only seen the places online. So get a SIM card. What else? After you get a SIM card and you start working, you go to, it depends now from the airport. How are you going from the airport? If you are not staying in London, the best way to go get out of Heathrow is just get a bus. It's the cheapest way to get out of the city. A lot of people use Uber, but an Uber from London, let's say an Uber from London to Bristol, is like maybe 70 pounds, 50 pounds. But a bus, Northern Express from London Heathrow to Bristol is 8 pounds. If you have a bag, is like I think 5 pounds per bag, or is it 2 pounds per bag? So get a bus, they load your bags in the bus, and then you sit on the bus, and it's a 2-hour 50-minute drive from Heathrow to Bristol bus station, and you've arrived. If the worst mistake you can ever make is get a train. Don't get a train, because nobody's gonna help you carry your luggage. Nobody's gonna help you with anything, and you do not want to be looking lost and dragging 2 suitcases across train stations, because why? So get a bus. You don't even have to buy a ticket before arrival. You just follow the arrows. There are arrows everywhere in Heathrow where to get a bus. Or you can even, after watching this video, just Google buses, National Express from Heathrow to the city where you want to go. There's a YouTube video for it, and then it will show you everything. Get a bus, go on the bus, get to your destination, then the next available bus to your next station. There are a lot of buses: National Express, Applegate, Coach what, Flixbus, Megabus. There are so many buses. I'm sure there would be a bus going to where you are staying. So make it a point to just get a bus. But if you can afford an Uber and you want to get there faster, be my guest. But it's really pricey. Or that also means you need to have an Uber account. There's no Uber in Namibia, so you need to then download an Uber account, enter your card, but why? When you can afford. I know, even if you can afford, why waste money when they will all get there at the end of the day? But yeah, this is just me. Just, yeah, do you. After you you get on the bus, and then you get to your destination. This is now your short-term accommodation. The reason why I keep saying short-term accommodation is you are coming in the UK. The minimum amount of time you're coming to stay is a year. Yeah, the minimum amount of time you're coming to stay is a year. There's no way you're going to get a year's accommodation online. It's not safe. Nobody would advise it, because you have not seen the place. You need to view the place. Also, landlords in the UK or agents in the UK, they need to do a lot of reference checks and vetting, and they'll just, most of the time, they'll prefer to just meet you first before they sign you or give you a lease for long term. So most of the time you would be at short-term accommodation, unless you are accommodated in school accommodation, which is very straightforward. You take your bus to your university. Somebody will meet you at the gate, because you've informed them when you are coming, and they will pick you up from the gate, and then they'll take you to a room. With uni accommodation, is straightforward. But with or if it's your employer, again, probably your employer will tell you, get a bus or get a ride from Heathrow, and then get to the bus station in the city where you're coming to stay, and somebody from your work, your employer will send somebody to come and pick you up and take you to the provided accommodation for your employer. After 10 days of arrival in the UK, you need to get what is called a BRP. Again, it's in one of my previous videos when I was collecting my BRP. Your BRP is available for collection 10 days after the issue date of your visa. Now remember, with 1st of December, if 1st of December is the date that your visa begins, 10 days after that, your BRP will be ready for collection. So if you come, for example, in the UK on the 10th of December, then it means that your visa, your BRP would already be there. But if you come on the 1st or on the 2nd, then your BRP is not ready yet for collection. You will need to go back after 10 days. I hope that makes sense. So it's only after you collect your BRP would you be able to do anything in the UK. After you get your BRP, you need to open a bank account. There are a lot of banks. Barclays, they are both physical and online banks. Any bank that you want. There's Barclays, there's Lloyd's, there's HBC, whatever. There is NatWest, there is, these are the ones that I know. Santander, I know those 5 banks. And then online banks, there's Monzo, there is Revolt, there is another one, I can't remember the name. There's 3. So personally, I use Barclays and Monzo because Monzo is an online bank and Barclays is a physical bank. I just I don't know, I just use both for some reason. So it's up to you. Open a bank account only after you've gotten your BRP. You need to physically go in the bank, and also you can only open a bank account once you have a physical address. And I don't know if your Airbnb qualifies as a physical address. I don't think so. Your short-term accommodation doesn't qualify as a physical address. And also you cannot open a bank account until you have started. For example, if you're a student, until you have started with school, because you need a letter from your school to prove that you're a student. You also cannot open a bank account until you have started your job, because you need a letter from your employer to show that you have a job. So you need those things to open bank account, and those things you cannot get them until you have your BRP. So your BRP literally sets the train in motion for you. BRP stands for Biometric Residency Permit. It shows that you are a resident in the UK, and it also gives information to people what you are allowed to do and what you are not allowed to do. After you get your BRP or you've started your job now, most jobs you start with training first, whether it's in person or it's online. They give you training, even if it's something you've done for years. For example, if you're a doctor in your country and you come to the UK to be a doctor, they will still give you training. They will still give you orientation what to do at that certain hospital. If you are coming as a student, of course, you start with orientation. They'll show you where your classes, are, who your lecturers are, everything related to your university. They show you this. They give you this information, whether it's online, whether it's in person. Everything now in the UK is very blended and hybrid. So sometimes it's online, some things are online, sometimes some things are not. So again, it's just about getting the right information. Also, if you're coming for a job, or you're coming for a job, or if you're coming for a job, there's something that's called DBS. It's Disclosure and Bearing Services. I think, depending on the job that you're coming to do. If you're coming to work in, for example, at school, you need to have your DBS. This is now to show, it's like an application you make where they make an investigation whether you are allowed to work with children. If you're coming to health, with work in health, again, they also do DBS, I think, to show that you're allowed to work with patients and medicine and stuff like that. And this is an application that you always sometimes do with your employer. Sometimes you pay for it and then the employer will refund you, or sometimes you don't pay for it, the employer will pay for it themselves. It's usually, I think, £15 or £20, depends. After your DBS is done, but you can also only do DBS after you have gotten your BR. You can also only do DBS after you've gotten your BRP. You also need to register for a GP, a general practitioner. And the way this works is you register. If you are a student, your university will most likely have a medical center, and that has a medical center that has a general practitioner, and you register with them so that you can be a patient there. If you get sick, that's where you go. If you are not a student, again, the town or the city where you live, or the area where you live, like let's say you live in Commersdal, the area where you live would have a general practitioner around there, and it's always just safer to register with a general practitioner that's closest to you. It's not a must, but it's just convenient, because you don't want to be taking 3-4 buses just to get to a general practitioner. just register with the general practitioner that is closest to you, but you also need your BRP and passport for that. If you don't have your BRP, you can't register for a GP. And then also after you've gotten your BRP, you can also start, if you're a student, start looking for part-time work, because you have 20 hours to do work in the UK. Start looking for part-time jobs and just apply to as many jobs. You're going to get a lot of rejections, but just start applying. You don't have anything to lose. Indeed is your friend. Again, I think in one of my videos I mentioned the website or the apps that you can use to apply for part-time jobs, and Indeed is the fastest one, especially for students, to get a fast job, part-time job around your area. And yeah, if you are on a dependent visa, again, this is the right time for you to also find a job, permanent job, because now you are dependent and your partner, your main applicant, is either a student or is an employee. What will you be doing in the house? So find work, start applying for jobs now, because now you are in the UK. But then before you start applying for jobs, actually rewind. You need to start finding permanent accommodation. I should have said that before, because you need permanent residency, you need permanent accommodation to open a bank account, you need permanent accommodation to register for a GP. So those two things. So basically, while you're staying in your short-term accommodation, you need to be finding permanent accommodation. This is now where you look for sites, accommodation sites, like depending on the kind of accommodation you want. Now, if you are with a dependent with family, you can check on the market. There's on the market, there's Zoopla, there's Gumtree, there's Facebook Marketplace, there is property, Rightmove. Sorry, not property, Rightmove. So it's Rightmove, is on the market, is Zoopla, is Gumtree, is Facebook Marketplace. Those are, I think, the 5 that I know, accommodation places that you can find specific to your location, specific to your needs. You show your interest on these apps and then you go for viewing. Always view the place. And then accommodation is a really big deal in the UK now. Everybody's looking for accommodation, so you might not be getting viewings as much as you would like, so this can be a drag. So please just make sure when you come to the UK, you come with enough money to extend your stay in your short-term accommodation. Don't just say, I'm going to be the short-term accommodation for like 5 days, because you will only move out of the short-term accommodation once you've gotten long-term accommodation. After that, they will tell you when you are able to move in and to come and collect your keys and you're ready to move in. After you now move into accommodation, that's now when you go back and then do all this bank account, and that's basically it. You have started to live in the UK. You are a resident and you have a place to live. Now, as to not make this video for too long, we've come to the end of this video, guys. Do keep those questions coming. Thank you so much to everybody that have been asking me questions on Instagram. I do try to answer, to respond and give as much information as I can, but when I feel like the questions are becoming repetitive, I do try to make a video about it. As I'm making a video now, it's because I got like 4 questions about arrival or traveling to the UK and stuff, so I just thought, let me rather make a video instead of responding to everyone, so that people can just go back and find this information whenever they want. So do keep those questions coming on my Instagram. Put them in the comment section if you want everybody to hear them. If you don't, my Instagram inbox are open. Do engage with me in the comment section. Please like this video, share if you have experience, you have moved to the UK or you are moving to the UK, share. I'm always very keen to link up with people. If you ever see yourself in South Gloucestershire or in Bristol, please do reach out. Your girl needs to make friends around the area, especially African friends. So please holler at your girl and engage with me in the comment. Like this video. If you have not subscribed yet, please do hit that subscribe button. It helps my video, it helps my channel grow, and I appreciate all the growth that I've been getting in the feedback, guys. Thank you so much. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked the video. Share with me tips and tricks of how to make my channel better and how I can give you back to back content that is worth your time. With that said, everybody, thank you so. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.